Thanks. So this question is often asked, what does it take to get to 100,000 participants? So I'm delighted on behalf of UK Biobank and the imaging teams to tell you a little bit about what it takes to get to 100,000 people. Of course, this place has witnessed some really big ideas and radically big ideas. And I think imaging is also a radically big idea. But it takes people to realise the potential of big ideas. And what imaging has done, as Paul and Rory have alluded to, brought together some really talented people, and I believe brought the best out of these people, demonstrating, I think, the best facets of the human spirit. So I think imaging is about the human spirit. It's about ambition, audacious ambition maybe, altruism, teamwork, spirit de corps, pursuit of perfection, and resilience. So I'd like today to reflect with you on what these attributes actually mean in UK Biobank. So as Rory and Paul have alluded to, I think 14 or 15 years ago, it was pretty audacious to even think of scanning 10,000 participants, let alone 100,000 participants. And it's that vision and that ambition and the belief in collaborative problem solving. How do you get imaging measures at scale? I think in the early days you guys were relying on hand measures, but the algorithms later came. So they persisted and the algorithms later came. And of course, given there's no precedence, for a study this size, I would imagine that for the funders also, there was an element of a leap of faith. So many problems to solve, and I'm sure it required a lot of courage and resolve, and some tough choices as well, to put their faith, if you like, in Rory and the team and the imaging study. Of course, we owe a huge debt of gratitude to 100,000 people who get nothing but are willing to put a lot in and come to the imaging centres. I think it's worth remembering that over half of them are over 73 years old. So at this stage in their lives, it is quite something for them to sort of take a whole day, travel several hours, by boat, train, cars, and spend half a day for a 10-part visit. Thousands of them had to put up with sort of cold and noisy MR scanners for over an hour. Thousands had to overcome the uncomfortable positions that they had to get to for DEXA scans. One blind participant even travelled all the way from the Isle of Wight, and she was willing to drive back because her partner wasn't willing to do it. That's quite something, I think. And exactly. And I can't believe that 90% said they would do it again. And a lot of them are in the repeat study as well. I think that's truly remarkable altruism. So thank you to our participants. And of course, one of the reasons why 90% of people said they would come back is because of the reception of the care they received in our imaging centres. I think it's the proudest 2 and a bit years of my life to say I'm the head of department for imaging sites. They're incredible people. And I think there are thousands of acts of kindness and compassion that we see in the imaging centres. You refer to that a lot, Paul, and I think you're right. Anybody who visits the centres will ask me, how do you get your staff to do it? I don't know that. I think they're just born with it, really. And one example, little example amongst thousands of examples, on a very cold and icy night, 2 participants, a couple, their car broke down, but our radiographer, rather than leaving them, she brought them in, kept them warm until a mechanic came and repaired their car way past midnight. And that's just one example of dozens of acts of what I call kind professionalism. And it's because of that we're able to sort of get the data in the first place. I don't know, you would get, when people are well treated, they're willing to put up with a half day visit and of course come back as well. And Paul, I think you're spot on. It is thousands of people. It's a huge team endeavour. I think that spirit de corps, it starts, I think, that engagement of participants, an incredible participant contact centre. We're able to fill the appointments, and then the 120 or so radiographers and health research assistants in 4 rather unassuming buildings in light industrial estates. Then hundreds of colleagues in Oxford, Stockport, and elsewhere who support the imaging centres. Artful project management from Steve and others, and then of course Siemens and various other suppliers have helped keep these machines working very hard for us. And a very supportive executive team who make sure that we're focused on where the value is added, in other words, at the centres. So that's where the work is done, focus on them. So that team is incredible, I think. And you're right, Paul, imaging is very much a tribute to their hard work and dedication. And then I think that ballet that Rory described, that process, it's taken 11 years of refinement, to get to a point where it's super efficient and able to get the data that we want. So on a daily, weekly basis, countless incremental improvements are made to this process. So we're able to use as much of the precious capacity appointments that we have and get complete data sets from many, many people. And I think the presentations to follow will be a testament to the quality of the data. And finally, I think it's also about resilience as well. I think there were all sorts of things get in the way. If you've ever managed operations, you'll know this. Power failures, train strikes, the British weather, flooding, heat waves, air conditioning failures. Sometimes just in an afternoon, it felt like. And it's not uncommon for our centre managers to be seen with a toilet plunger unblocking those toilets. I think, and of course the pandemic as well, that was something. But if we had a mantra, if the imaging team had a mantra, it would be, we have one chance to do this, which meant that we're able to get through this with resilience. And Mark, remember I suggested that there might be some malign forces, supernatural forces in Reading, and we should go for an exorcism. I still think we should reserve that as a possibility at some point. Anyway, of course, and Rory being Rory and imaging being imaging, and UK Biobank being UK Biobank, we're not done yet. We've still got a lot of work to do. We're only a quarter way through the second time point, the repeat study. We're about to start the third time point at Newcastle, and I think just finished a successful pilot of the brain health study as well. And I'm sure there'll be other ideas coming if we're, pretty soon as well. So thank you, and I hope imaging's big idea is an inspiration to others with big ideas.